Welcome to the Inspired Action Podcast. This is where we have motivational, inspiring conversations and interviews that we hope you'll enjoy listening to. If you're interested in creating more balance in your life, understanding your 5-element energetic nature, finding the path of greatest ease,
or releasing the baggage of this lifetime and discovering ancient alchemy that can help you fly in your life, join us and other inspired actioneers on this alchemical transformational journey.
Welcome back to the Inspired Action Podcast. My name is Jay, and this is pod number 77, and I'm in the world headquarters of the Inspired Action Podcast with my co-host, as always, Lita Herman.
Welcome back, Inspired Actioneers.
You know, today we've been thinking about a new topic, a whole new kind of idea we want to explore a little bit, and it's based on the phrase, Lita, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We've all heard that phrase, right?
Yes, it's a very useful phrase.
It is, right? It's very useful. If it's not broke, just feel this, go with the flow, keep things going. But Lita, what happens if we ask the question today, what if it is broke? Then what?
Yeah, there's no adage for that one, is there?
It's like, get your belief together. Like, okay, so not that I can think of. I don't know. There's a lot of people that talk about mistakes and things like that. But what I want to talk about is just one thing about, you know, everyone has this one broken thing inside of them, maybe things that just aren't exactly the way they want it to be, maybe a job they don't like, a relationship that isn't working, or literally something that's in their home that's broken that they've just let sit forever.
Only one thing, Jay? I think
know,
there
right?
might be more. I can think of quite a few in my life, actually.
You know, on the scale from small to large, I can think of quite a few. And there's always things that I like to tweak and work on. But you know what? Today I want to talk about the challenges that keep us stuck, you know, that keep us from moving in the direction we want to move in our lives. And you know I'm going to bring in the 9 palaces on this. But what's the thing that most of us do? We ignore the bigger broken things because it's just too hard to fix it. And that's what made me think about this topic. Mm-hmm. You know, it takes more energy to put in the extra effort to fix something that you're not in alignment with, that you're not working. You know, I don't really like the word broken, but, you know, we're going to talk about that a little bit, other words to call it. But if it's disrupting your life in some way, your routine, you know what? You need to spend a little time to fix it, get in an alignment, make it work so you're happy.
Yeah, you know, it's funny, Jay, we're all about ease, the easy way, the easy path, but sometimes letting it just go like that isn't the easiest way, even though it seems so hard to fix. You know, you probably would have fixed it right away if it was an easy fix.
Yeah.
But, you know, the really broken things are the ones that are going to take a lot of effort and maybe time to fix. But if you leave it broken, right, then that is not easy either.
And it does not get easier to fix as time goes by. You might think so, but you know, but I'm not saying that it's hard to fix. I just you need to re-examine, to look at it, because something's out of alignment. Something is not right. So we need to maybe come up with an idea to gently breach this subject with everyone.
I love that idea because, I mean, I know that I've been guilty of this so many times where it's like, oh, I'll just sweep that under the rug. You know, that broken thing, I'll just ignore it. Yeah. I've got my blinders on, and it's because I don't want to take the effort it takes to fix it. Yeah. But the question is, which is really easier? It looks like it's harder to fix it, but in the long run, how much harder has your life been because you didn't fix it?
Right. Or what direction would you have gone in that maybe you thought was too hard or too challenging? And you know, Lita, we live in this interesting time right now. You know, things may seem broken across the globe. Things are just not normal. Things are not working. You know, we're still in the middle of this pandemic. Dun, dun, dun. Lockdown. Forced to be at home all the time. You know, this is a good time, I think, to really examine our lives. We've been talking about this for the past few podcasts. You know, I think this is a gift now. I'm really thinking that this is a gift of time and just a really refocusing examination of patience.
It's so true. You know, so many of my clients are asking all the time, like, what should they be doing right now? They have all this time on their hands and, you know, they're asking me what they should do. And I've been suggesting they really need to examine their own lives. What has been working in their life prior to the pandemic and what hasn't been working in their lives? And you know, this is a time to look at those issues.
And what are you getting? Crickets?
Crickets. No,
And what are they saying?
actually, it's surprising. People are open to this idea.
Yeah, I know. I'm just teasing you a little
I
bit.
think that people are self-examining. We've said that before a couple podcasts ago. Like I call it navel gazing, but in
It's a
this
good
case,
time.
it's a good thing. Let's just say, our clinic is doing fantastic. Doing these Zoom meetings and FaceTime and all these
rocking.
things. It's rocking on these virtual sessions because people want to look at themselves for a change. It's like we jumped off the hamster wheel.
Yeah, now we're giving people permission
Yeah.
to take a little time. Remember, self-cultivation is about the self.
Yeah, and just having that little bit of extra time, or a lot of extra time in this case, means, you know what? It's time to really look at some of these issues, these broken things that you've swept under the rug and you've ignored.
Yeah, and every time we say broken, if that makes you cringe, go with out of alignment or just things that don't make you happy, that you made decisions. We're in such a fast-paced world right before this lockdown. You go to work, you come home, you make dinner for the family maybe. You watch Netflix, you go to sleep, you wake up, you go to work, you come home, you make dinner, you go to sleep. Probably watch Netflix again. Maybe throw in some exercise somewhere. Maybe throw in drinks with friends, dinner. I don't know, a couple little things. And where is the self-cultivation? This tiny little sliver here and there that you get things going. This is the whole thing about New Year's resolutions. You get these new habits that you want to do, and then the old life creeps back in, and then you do less and 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 less. And then guess what? Now you're back to the hamster wheel of go to work, come home, make dinner,
Rinse
friends,
and
family.
repeat.
Yep. Watch Netflix, go to sleep, wake up. So it's on and on and on. And, it's just like we're always hurrying all the time.
Yes, hurry to work, hurry to get home. We're just
Hurry to watch a show, hurry to eat dinner, hurry this, we'll hurry that. We're always in a hurry. We're always moving around. I think that we need to take a little time because now motion has to come to a screeching halt for many of us.
Yeah,
So
and no
this
one
is a
wants
good
to
time.
stay in one place.
No one wants to be in one place.
Yeah.
Always, I'm going here, I'm going there, I'm doing this, I'm doing that.
Yeah, we got to move it.
You got to move it.
That way, you're not stuck. So we're not saying that hurrying is a bad thing. It's just this feeling like you don't even have a moment to think for yourself.
Yeah, so like I said, what goes out the window? Self-cultivation. I don't have time to meditate. I don't have time to cook that really good nutritious meal. I don't have time to exercise. I don't have time to, so anything.
Or ask better questions, Jay.
questions,
That's a
that's
big
right.
one.
Yeah.
If you're always in motion, when do you have time to ask better questions?
Yeah, so we really need to embrace this time before it goes back to the new normal. So,
Yes.
so the question I want you to think about today, everyone who's listening, is what do you want your new normal to be? This is a time where you can take some baby steps and really look into the things, a couple of the things, like Lita said, that may have gotten swept under the rug in your life and just haven't worked for you for a while. It's much easier to ignore those things that you're out of alignment with or broken, in air quotes, because again, you have to deal with them, you have to deal with the repercussions, and just some people just don't want to do it. They'll just take the pain and suck it up, buttercup, right? And just go
Yes.
on, and they think that they don't deserve happy, they don't deserve peace, they don't deserve that inner calm that you get from taking care of your business.
Yes, but for those of you who are still in lockdown, and we might be for a little while longer, there was a cartoon in the New Yorker that I showed you, Jay, that one of the ghost
Yes, very funny.
is coming to a man lying in his living room on the couch, and it said, I'm the ghost of the future or of the past. I've lost track of time.
Yes, even the ghosts don't know where we are, what dimension. Okay.
Honestly, I can't think of a better time in our lives to examine the things that aren't working and have the courage to take the steps to
Now
fix
that
them.
right there, Lita, have the courage to take the step. So that's the first step.
Yes.
Okay, is where do you find that courage? So I think it is self-examination is the key to self-cultivation. I know I sound like a broken record, but it's so easy. This is where we get to put on our earth element analysis hats that
Oh, yeah.
some of us wear sometimes, some of us not. That hat is probably way in the back of the closet for some of us. Pull out that earth hat, put it on, and start to do an analysis of our lives and what is exactly out of alignment, what is it actually broken, what is completely just the wheels have fallen off and it's just laying there. We got to we go back to what we always say, be the watcher. That's the first thing.
Yes.
Is to start.
We say that every podcast.
I know.
Be the
So-
watcher in
so
your life.
Be the watcher. Listen to the podcast. Okay. But what is your perfect again, with the air quotes, scenario of your life, where did you deviate from that? Where did you go from that? But also I'm going to do a little asterisk, you need to be kind to yourself. You need to be gentle. This could open up Pandora's box, a whole can of worms. That's why you put it in the box and in the can of worms in the first place.
Yes, because it was hard. And being gentle with yourself is even the hardest part about looking at this. You think one thing is broken, so maybe you go, oh, I really wish I had a different job. I've known that all along. I've just been going on and on and on, but it's actually due to something entirely different. And so you point to this one broken thing, and then suddenly you have a bunch of broken things because you didn't really know where it was coming from. So people can be really hard on themselves. So there's no need to blame anyone or anything here for how it is.
Some self-accountability in a gentle way is definitely what we're talking about here. And this is where I like to bring in the 9 palaces. They're so helpful. It's our curriculum. It's already there for you. You just need to do some examination. So let's call this the 9 Palace Challenge. How's that?
Oh, I love it. I love it. For those of you new to the podcast, or just, to refresh your memories, since it's been a long time since we reviewed them, the 9 palaces are career, relationship, wealth, health, home, travel, children or creativity, wisdom, and prosperity.
Yeah, those are the 9 big ones there. Okay, so if you're new to the podcast, we do some great introductions to them. Go back to the first season of the podcast. I don't know which one that we've done. 77 of them now.
Yeah, we did an initial one right in the very beginning, and then we went through all the 9 palaces.
Yeah,
in that first season as well.
People really like that. They got a good understanding. So we're going to ask you to review that if you are a little fuzzy on that, because you'll start to see the illumination of the airport runway about what we're talking about today. If you start to think about your own 9 palaces.
And the main thing to remember about the 9 palaces is that they're very intertwined in your life. They are your curriculums.
Your own personal curriculum.
Yeah.
They're your business. So I say get to doing your business. This is your business. This is your curriculum. This is why you're here.
Yes. So you may think you're having a health issue, but really you're having a career issue that's causing a health issue.
So you have to unwind that, unravel that, or you think you're having a relationship challenge. You feel out of alignment. Guess what? With your fire element, that's your love. But your relationship is great. And after you look deeper and deeper into your own life, into what's going on with you, you can see that you're having a wealth palace challenge, and that's putting financial stress on the relationship. And the wealth palace is the wood palace, so you may not be really in touch with your wood palace. So that's what you might want to attend to.
So this is a problem I always wonder about, Jay.
Challenge.
Yes. How do you figure it out? How do you know which is the source of the problem?
Well, Lena,
challenge.
Good question. You should have some good question music. That's a better question. Okay, you can't get there from here, right? You have to go where it is. So you have to grab a pen and a paper. Yes, old school. Okay, you got to go get a piece of something.
Or you can do an iPad or computer if you're too new school.
So if you want to make a spreadsheet, I don't care. It's up to you. If you want to spreadsheet out your 9 palaces,
that's a good idea.
There you go. I knew you'd like that, right?
I'm a techie. I would love to make a spreadsheet.
I hear you say that like 3 times a day. Make a spreadsheet. Do a spreadsheet. Get the spreadsheet.
I love it.
So, all right. So we're going to, for Lita's sake, we're going to make a spreadsheet of the 9 palaces. So let's first make a column of all the 9 palaces. Lita, you want to say them again?
Career, relationships, health, wealth, home, travel, creativity or children, wisdom, and prosperity.
Right.
And then what?
And then you're going to remember you already went back and listened to a little refresh.
Yes.
Okay, so then you're going to start. The next step is how to examine your life based on each palace. So we don't want to completely blow all 9 of them out of the water. Okay, so we're going to just go down lightly and see what stands out for you as really being, broken, out of alignment, things that just are not working. You haven't thought about this for a long time. Yeah. So these are the ones. So we'll start with career. How's your career going? What do you do for work? Are you happy with work? Are you doing the work you wanted to do? We all have to have a career at some point in our life. You might be at the end of your career. You might be at the beginning of your career. You're just going to list out what you feel good about that palace.
That's a really good point. If you're retired, or you haven't started a career yet, you could substitute the word knowledge. You could substitute
perfect.
It's not wisdom.
They all have different titles too.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not wisdom. It's more like your skills in life. If you're not if you're doing something like in retirement that, is about developing some skills or just...
So knowledge and skills,
Yeah.
definitely the career palace.
Okay.
And that is a water palace.
Yes.
Okay, so I'd like to have everyone run through all the palaces first without thinking too much about it before we hit the real challenges. So if you struggle with doing it all the positive things first, then reverse it and do all the challenges first. I have a lot of people who just cannot go with the positive first. We do the negatives, the challenges first, then move on to maybe the good or the better aspects. I guess, the spreadsheets sound pretty good now.
Yeah.
Laying it out there, right? So
I'm totally envisioning the spreadsheet.
right, so then you get, so Lita will make a template for everyone.
Oh, dang, more work.
Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see.
I'll
Her
do
career
it.
palace is, I don't know, always a little teetering.
I'll do it for you guys. I'll do it.
So then you could start to think about if a pass or a fail grade, if that helps you, if that's how your mind works.
I like that. Pass,
Yep.
fail.
Yep.
Yeah.
So see how that goes. No pressure. Remember, be kind. So
Gentle.
Be gentle. Yes. So if the career palace is first, so you could say and ask yourself, what's the minimum I could do to make myself happy? Am I doing that now? Am I overachieving? Like, start to think about how you get wisdom, how you get knowledge, and how you feel about your own personal career. Not your partners, not your parents, not your kids, not your neighbors, not your coworker, not your boss. How you feel about your own career palace.
And remember, sometimes something so rocking, like let's say your career is rocking and you've got a lot of other palaces that are having trouble, you might be overdoing
Yes.
the career.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
an option too.
Yes. So that would
you
not
might
be-
think it's a pass,
Right.
but it could be
the obsessive thing.
Yeah.
We're going to, when you start to go through them, let's just see, first do the quick pass of, is everything looking pretty good or not so good? You're going to know. People think, oh, I don't know. And then they start doing it and it just really unfolds right in front of you.
So you do this for every single palace.
Yep, you're going to do it for every single one. And then you'll say, is it broken? Is it out of alignment? Am I rocking it? Do I love it? Is it all I think about 24 hours a day? You're going to start to see where these things start to fall.
So it's common that, some people might only have one palace that's really out of alignment, but a lot of people have several. And rarely I meet people that say all of their palaces are in trouble. But again, it might be just because one is really bad and it's affecting every single other one. So don't dismay if that's the case. It's often that way, when there really is a troublesome palace.
So that leads me to think about the next thing we can work on with this later. If you have one palace that is really challenging, start to look which palace is the cause of this big shift that happened. Who knows how long ago, or hasn't happened yet. You just have to kind of maybe you put something on hold and time just went by, and maybe you had kids and then you got, then you had to move, or life got in the way, and then you never got back to what you really wanted to do.
Yeah, and remember, sometimes it's easier not to work on something, so be gentle with yourself.
Yes.
If you ignored this, that's kind of normal. So,
But this is the time right now. I'm saying it's a gift. We need to work on it. This is the time to take some self-evaluation and really be the watcher, ask better questions. If you want to be happy and happier
Right.
and more in alignment with your own life and your own 9 palaces.
Let's think of an example. So if you wrote down that you have a health palace challenge right now, which, in our clinic, we see a lot of health palace challenges. So I'm very familiar with this. And maybe you also wrote down you have a career palace challenge. So which came first? Did your
chicken or the egg,
Yeah.
right?
Did your health hamper your ability to do good work, or did you start feeling sick due to your career palace being broken? And Jay, I've been a practitioner for over 20 years now, and I have to say my philosophy is pretty strong. I think it's pretty accurate, but people might argue it. I don't really believe that illness just comes arbitrarily to someone unless perhaps it's something congenital you inherited. There's always the exception to my theory like that, but I think it's almost always a result of something else is off in your life. You are out of alignment in your life, and that something causes stress on your body, maybe for days, weeks, months, years, and even decades, which then leads to ill health. I can't tell you how many times people tell me a story about getting sick, and I ask them what was going on in their lives at that time. And some know right away what bad thing was happening, but others claim nothing bad was happening, and then suddenly some big story comes out, like, oh yeah, that was when I was, in the middle of a lawsuit or a fight with my best friend. And we just don't always see the correlation there.
Yeah, I think that, Lita, that is absolutely 100% valid. All right, I'm going to say 99% valid. We have to give the 1% leeway there.
Yeah.
But maybe we don't always want to see the correlation.
Right. So the point of this exercise
Maybe
is...
you were wrong in the fight with your best friend.
Yeah.
And you blame them. But now you realize, and when you look back, oh man, maybe I was the one who did cause that fight and I never admitted it. And I can, so that is something you have to look at. You don't want to see the correlation. And then you moved away, and then you got another job, and then that job was really stressful. Then you got sick.
Yes.
Okay, go back to the first domino.
Right. So the point of this exercise is to find the one palace that is breaking down all the other palaces.
Back to the domino thing.
Yes.
Let's go back to think of the dominoes. One big palace: career, relationship, wealth, definitely health. Those are the top 4. Okay, that I always work on with people on a pretty fairly regular basis. And one of those start going, they topple over. They all start to go down. Boom, 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 boom.
Yes.
Almost always. So your theory, like I said, very valid.
And again, if health is the big one that seems to be causing all the other problems, remember to ask what may have caused the health palace to suffer initially. So Jay, now that you've identified the challenge based on your 9 palaces, how do you fix it?
Oh, okay. Well, okay. No pressure, right?
No pressure.
How do you fix it? Okay, let's just go with the first step. Go to the end result that you want in that palace, turn it around, and look at it from the backwards. Go backwards. So let's just say you wanted the job of your dreams. You wanted to, I'm going to say you were a marine biologist, okay? You thought of it, you loved it. Shamu, the whale, was like, he jumped over that sun thing at the bridge at the end. Like, that's it, I'm going to do it. And then your parents said, that's stupid. Your guidance counselor said, you're crazy. Your neighbor maybe said to you, that's too much science. Girls don't do science. They do other stuff. And you're like, huh? What? I want to go take care of Shamu. I want to go play with the penguins. And all of a sudden, guess what? You're not doing it anymore. You're doing something else because someone told you it was crazy. They put up an obstacle. You didn't remove that obstacle.
Yeah.
Okay, so that started to become the truth, the reality. All those examples we know is not true because we do have marine biologists. We do have someone who's taking care of the whales and the penguins and all the cool things right there. Mm-hmm. So somebody's doing that. So now go back, say, okay, if I want to become a marine biologist right now, today in my life, let's turn it around. Is anybody doing what I want to do? Yes, we just proven that. There's people running aquariums. So then you turn around and you look at it backwards. What would you have to do today with all the wisdom and knowledge that you've acquired from your other career? What would you have to do to get the job that you want? Is it your dream job? Does it even exist? Is it possible? Where do you live? Is there an aquarium nearby? A research center? Do some research. Get online. We live in the world of Google. You can Google anything at any time and find out anything you want to know. So see what's going on in the world of marine biologists right now, in your state, in your region, in your town, whatever. See what's going on.
It's almost like you're standing in your future life and throwing that lifeline out to your current day self and pulling you out of the deep waters.
Oh, the deep doo-doo, I like to say. Let's get out of that. Let's look for some greatness. Maybe you don't need a lot of money right now. Maybe someone told you, oh, you can't do that job. That's the worst paying job on the planet. And you're like, oh, okay. Or they said, oh my God, those hours, you have to work all day long by yourself in an office with the door closed.
Yeah.
And you only get to be with the animals once in a while. And you're like, oh, okay. Or they said you have to travel constantly. You have to go from this to that. And you're like, whatever the reason, whatever the job, you insert what it is. We all had that dream job in our minds when we were growing up. And if you're not doing that, let's find out if you still have that fire. Let's go dig a little deeper.
Yes.
See if it's still, there's a flame, maybe a little flicker.
Sounds like you are your own ghost of the future coming back to help you figure out how to move forward. Is this really just a dream or is it your destiny and your future?
We have the future. It's right now, present moment. We've been saying that over and over and over. So you're throwing yourself a lifeline. You have to love the little tiny victories along the way because that is part of the journey, of the challenge, of the victory, especially if you're wood. Don't get stuck on the big giant goals. Big goals, guess what, have big obstacles.
Oh, that's a good point.
So you have to move them if you're in that. And if you don't have wood in the top 1 or 2 and you have a big obstacle, you might not want to move it, and you have moved on to another job, even though you still, every time you see Shamu or you hear that music, you're like, oh, that's what I really wanted to do. Okay? So live in the moment. Let's be present moment. We could almost name this podcast Be in the Present Moment, but we'll probably go with if it's broke, fix it. But it's in the moment, in the moment, in the moment. That's how you fix things that are out of alignment.
So you set little goals so you can have little victories along the way then?
Yes, make one phone call, one Google search, thinking about what you're making. Write an email to someone just that's in that field or in that direction. Even if, or go on Twitter or go on Facebook. There's so many options now. You absolutely positively have no excuse on not being able to move forward on almost anything. I would lay down a challenge that I could help anyone find their dream job and how to do it in some capacity. Let's just say you do want the marine biologist. Go to the aquarium. Hang out, see the penguins.
Yeah.
Okay, talk to the person who's there. See if they like it. Maybe have a conversation with the person who's feeding the whales, the beluga whales or whatever, and see what's going on and what was their path and just anything. Like, just make baby steps.
That's a great idea. I used to call them informational interviews.
There you go. Absolutely. And we live in the informational interview age.
Yes.
Okay, there's nothing you cannot find on the internet. But yes.
So, that's a great point, because some of us may have another issue going on in our lives if we feel really, really stuck. And I thought I should just bring this up because in Chinese medicine, there's something called a blocked will.
Yes, and when I'm working with someone and I can clearly see after a little bit of time that they have the blocked will, what do? I send them to you.
Yes.
Okay, I'm like, this is something that's bigger than what we're talking about here on this podcast. So let's talk about this a little bit, Lita.
Yeah.
Let's explain it. So this huge thing, let's break it into categories. Blocked wills need to be unblocked. So how do you unblock a blocked will?
Yeah, I love doing this treatment with people. A blocked will in Chinese medicine is a situation that can arise when a person has really been beaten down in life, or a parent or abusive partner maybe, really got to you, and then everything in their lives can't move forward.
It's kind of like when I said about, I saw the Shamu, you want to be the marine biologist, and then people shut you down.
Yes, but in a really big way. We're not just talking about one palace. We're not really talking about a 9 palaces issue at all. You become so stuck, nothing can move forward. And it's mostly due to fear. Even if you make elaborate plans and you're totally focused on making a change, every time you try to step forward, everything just fizzles out. And that's when we say there's a blocked will. So there may have been some great ideas there, but those ideas have no legs. Nothing's moving.
That's a great way to look at it. If your ideas have no legs, guess what? You're not moving. You're not even walking. You're not running. You're just not going anywhere. You got the legs knocked right out from under you. What happens? You fall down. That's the blocked will. That's what I do. I send them to Lita. She works on that aspect. Then they can come back to me and we can implement some of the things that we're actually talking about while we're trying to get them back on track.
So this treatment takes a lot of time. You might have had this for years and years and years, even since childhood. And so we take time. We allow this to happen. It can take up to 6 hours to resolve for a person. Yes.
I bet a lot of people haven't done a 6-hour treatment before.
No, it's kind of unique. And we're just about the only ones who do it that way. Most practitioners try to do these things in like an hour, but I think that's a bit unfair, especially when some people have been stuck that way for years and they need more time to shift it.
Yeah, how can you unravel something that deep and that big and actually make a change in your life in an hour? No.
Yeah,
so I'm
and
a big fan of the long sessions.
Yeah, but this blocked will thing, I just want to say it's quite rare. So don't jump to conclusions if you're having some 9 palaces trouble. It's really about looking at your whole life being blocked in every aspect of your life.
Yeah, so let's assume that you don't have a blocked will,
yes,
because that is kind of a rare.
It is rare.
I only once in a while I just can tell that this is not the person like who wants to do these things. So I don't want you to think that it happens like every week.
Yeah, I treat hundreds and hundreds of people every year in this clinic, and I probably only see about 10 people a year who really have this as an issue. And for those 10 people, it's huge.
Yeah.
So if you're seeing a lot of your 9 palaces blocked, don't assume that it's this blocked will, but be really honest. Like have other areas of your life worked really well and you're moving forward in those areas, then it's not a blocked will. So again, it's like if everything is shut down, then you might want to consider looking into, moving whatever that fear is, that underlying, maybe abusive situation.
I do think fear is a big factor.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so that I just wanted to bring that up. So let's go back.
I agree. It is kind of rare, but
Yeah.
I do see it. You can kind of, I think once you do this for a while, and from my perspective, you can kind of get an idea what people want to do, what they don't want to do, and fear is definitely a factor for sure.
All right, so let's go back to our 9 Palaces spreadsheet.
Yeah, the 9 Palace Challenge. All right, so let's wrap this up because I don't want to overwhelm people,
Yes.
with all these great ideas and great thoughts and great theories. So, let's go back. One of the things I ask people to do when they're doing this challenge is when the decisions they made that maybe brought them out of alignment or kept them in alignment, were they based on money?
Oh, God,
How many decisions do you make a day based on money? Does it permeate through all of your 9 palaces? Then we really need to start to unravel that, because that is especially in this day and age, that is a big theme that I see all the time. I moved across the country because my partner got a really good job, and then this, and then that, their journey went that way. Or, they took this promotion even though they hated the job and they made a lot of money, but their health went down.
Yes.
So it can go on or I moved across the country, or I didn't move.
Yes.
I couldn't move because I had equity in my house, or I can go on and on and on.
So every decision is based on money.
Yeah.
Well, I can just say from my own personal experience, if it helps anyone out there, I grew up with parents who really cared about money. They were normal people. They just made a lot of decisions based on money. So I grew up in that lifestyle, and I always made my decisions based on money, and I've had to work really hard on my wealth palace as an adult.
We've unraveled that so much, but it takes a while.
Yeah,
most people aren't even aware of it.
Yeah.
Most people are not even aware of it. Usually it has to do with the water element in the person, whether it's frozen or flowing or moving or first or second or third or fourth or fifth. The water, I think, really controls the resources. And in this world, wealth and money is a resource.
Yes.
So that sometimes if you're doing this exercise and you go, oh my God, I'm money, that is something you need to look at. That's self-examination. That's where you're going to go from this exercise, the 9 Palace Challenge.
It's kind of like we're looking at health as, across the board, if it's affecting all the palaces, but we're also looking at wealth. So those two are really key.
Yeah, and they could take you down, all of them down.
Yes.
Think about it.
Yes.
And then, Lita, you also mentioned really quick about how one of the palaces could be either really depleted or completely overdone.
Yes.
So that's another thing I really want to be aware of when you're doing the 9 Palace Challenges is something way out of balance.
Because I've met people who are really wealthy and there's no wealth palace problem whatsoever. And yet, what do they obsess about 24/7? Wealth.
Yeah.
So that's still a wealth problem. It's kind of like an excess of wealth is causing them not to feel that prosperity.
Right.
Because if you go back and listen to those podcasts again about wealth and prosperity, wealth is that feeling that you have enough, and prosperity is the feeling you have more than enough.
Right.
And when you have wealth, you should automatically start to feel prosperous. What can I give my money to? What cause do I believe in? How
Right.
can I help people who have less than me? That's a natural progression.
Dragging on the hoard of money.
Yes.
Okay, that's a wealth palace
That's
challenge
a
for
wealth
sure.
palace challenge.
Yeah,
you might
because
think, check, I've got wealth.
That's right. I've got a lot of money, but you know what? Is that money completely controlling you?
Yeah.
So
There you
think
go.
about those things. Go through all the palaces, each one, and definitely the top 4, which are, Lita, give the 9 palaces again.
Career, relationship, health, wealth, home, travel, children or creativity, wisdom, and prosperity.
Right. And also when you get to the home palace, that's a home with a capital H, this all funnels into that.
Yes.
That is the palace that really is the balance.
Yeah, you may think because it's in the middle, it's not the most important, but it is the most
Right.
important. And that's why it's number 5, which is in the center of everything. It's halfway. And if you lay it out on a grid, the number 5 is placed in the center.
In the magic square.
In the magic square. And that's why we're all trying to get home. And so if you have some problems in your 9 palaces, that's another thing to think about across the board. How is your home palace? Do you feel a sense of belonging? Do you feel a sense of safety? These are all things that home gives us.
So let's get out the ruby slippers.
Yes.
Click them 3 times. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. And that's the end of this podcast.
All right.
So take the 9 Palace Challenge. Take this time. It's a gift. Really take some effort into looking at what your life is going on right now. If things are broken, fix them.
Yes, go from the future back to the present and see what steps you needed to take to get to that place you need to be.
The whole world is giving you permission to slow down, get off the hamster wheel, work on your stuff.
Yes.
Go ahead and do it.
Fix it.
Fix it.
All right.
You've been listening to the Inspired Action Podcast, and you've reached the end. Woohoo! Why not celebrate a little bit and click that subscribe button right there? We love having you with us on this journey, and we want it to continue.
You can also rate and review this podcast. And if you have already, thank you so much. We read all reviews, and your reviews help other people find this podcast as well. You can also be a part of this podcast yourself by submitting a voice recording message and emailing it to us at Lita@inspiredactionpodcast.com or Jay@inspiredactionpodcast.com.
And if you want, you can join our Facebook group or follow us on Instagram.
Join us next week for another Inspired Action conversation. And thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening, and remember to hug the dog.